All right, Glenn, we had a short break due to lockdowns, but we're back here in the shed with another special guest from the local area.
Yeah.
How about you get some drinks ready and I'll go get our guest?
All right, sounds good.
All right, let's do it. Welcome to the shed.
Welcome.
We got you over here.
You're over here, bud. Yeah.
I need one of these sheds for me.
Well, we could probably build you one. I'm Glenn.
Dave Cullen.
Dave Cullen, nice to meet you,
Jason.
mate.
Jason, how are you?
Nice, welcome to the shed.
Yeah, welcome
Thank
to the
you.
tent shed, mate.
I might just move in.
It wouldn't be the first time someone's slept in here.
Mate, can I start you off with a drink?
Yeah, just water.
Some water?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be good.
No worries. How's your day
Yeah, not too bad.
been? Yeah, busy?
Busy.
Playboy Cup all right?
Always busy. Yeah, that's
Playboy
right.
Cup.
mate.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Notice the River 949 jacket.
Yes, mate.
What's
Yeah.
that about?
I do a radio show on River on Saturday with Nikki Jonick.
Yep.
She's our local counsellor, isn't she? In our
Yeah,
I
area?
think she is.
Yeah, she's in our division,
She is
yeah.
in your division down here, but yeah,
Yeah.
so I do a show with her Saturday morning on River about everything that's local, 6 till 9.
Right.
So
How's that
So
going? Sorry, Dave.
it's only the,
Yeah,
it's only the 4th or 5th week or something like that at the moment. So
Yeah, I heard your first show. I
yeah,
had a listening. Terry Russell. friend of
yeah,
ours.
Terry's there. Yeah, he's
Mutual?
good,
Yeah,
good
he's a
guy,
good guy.
Terry.
Yep.
So I haven't managed to turn the radio off on our show, but I've turned it off for money and Campo.
No. I don't mind my ears. I listen to them in the morning too.
Yeah,
So is that your first foray into radio? Or have
I've
you
been-
done something before?
No, yeah, like in that sense, yeah. But like I've worked at River for a long time,
Oh.
driving the truck around.
Oh, right.
So yeah, I've been at River for 15, 16 years or something.
Wow.
Ah.
So I've always spent time with River, moving their truck around to the OBs
Yep.
and those sorts of things. So I had a little bit of technical background with that.
Yeah.
And, it was just because we were doing their licenses for their through my school, through ProDrive, and they'd get their promotion people their license, and then they'd take off and get another job.
Of course. Yeah, big turnover in radio, hey. What did Ian Skip and say? You never take lunch to work on when you work at a radio station because you mightn't be there at lunch.
Right, gone by then.
Yeah.
Oh,
He just never.
But I remember the days of, God, I remember back in Stereo 10,
Yeah.
Brisbane, the first FM stations that we had here in Brisbane. Then. Do you
Stereo
remember that?
10.
Stereo.
Stereo
How
10.
old do you think I am?
In fact, well, obviously,
I don't remember either.
they're a lot younger.
mine-
But I remember that, no, in school.
In school.
I went to school here at St. Eddie's
Jesus
in
at school
Ipswich.
went?
I'm a St. Eddie's boy.
Yeah, one of my stints was there. My dad was in the Air Force, so we travelled a
Yeah.
lot. But I did, a few years of primary and then some secondary. But I remember then, it was the time because they even had their fantastic plastic.
They did.
And it was one of the first times that I remember. It was. Oh God, it's like the nostalgia
Sorry,
show.
that-
Here's a lesson for you, Glenn. They were one of the first plastic cards that you could get.
Oh.
That gave you like loyalty to go
It
into
was.
shops and do all
Yeah,
these
it
things.
was.
Flash your plastic. I remember these things.
Yeah, it
You
was.
could go in and it was sort of affiliated with the radio stations.
a discount.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's
and
like an
that's-
RACQ card.
Kind
Yeah.
of, yeah.
So it was great. If a school kid, you could have this piece of plastic. It's Stereo 10 on
You
it.
got 10% off.
It's
at
about
the
the
local-
only thing in your wallet and
Yeah.
a couple of coins.
Yeah.
Wow. Stereo 10, Jason.
Yeah, because that's how B.
Was that a Brisbane?
It's off Stereo Network now.
Yeah.
And it became B105, but that was the early. It was one of the first FM stations, I think,
It
in
was,
Brisbane.
yeah, it was, yeah.
4IP was the other FM station, wasn't it? That
That
then
was-
turned to Triple M.
That was River.
4IP was River.
Yeah. 4IP was in
Oh, Ipswich, yeah.
Ipswich. Yeah.
Oh,
And came
I
River.
didn't know that.
And it became 106.9 back
Wow.
Right.
in the day. Yeah, and then I don't know how.
Because that's Nova's frequency now.
Yeah,
Before
they
Nova,
sold-
but it was something else. They used to play like a lot of
Yeah,
Duff
well, they
music on
sold.
that.
I don't know the full story on it, but the building at North Ipswich there was actually opened as 106.9.
It was. That is correct.
It was. And
In
then-
'91.
Yeah. I don't know. Somewhere around there anyway.
Well, early '90s.
Yeah.
Because a friend of mine used to live across the road, Roy Ebury, and I played footy with his son, and we were there at a New Year's Eve party,
Yeah.
and they just launched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was originally 106.9. Then it became River.
River
94.9.
Wow.
Wow.
The history of radio is.
But the other
amazing.
thing that not many people know about was there's a corner studio in that building in the River 949 when it was 106.9. Was originally 4BH.
Right.
Wow.
Well, they're broadcasting out of the
They were
same.
broadcasting there as well. So.
Wow, that's insane. Have you always had a love for radio, or you just sort of fell into it?
It's kind of like, no, I mean, listen to it.
Yeah.
Because I've been an
In a truck
interstate
too, right?
In a
driver.
truck,
so-
that's right, yeah.
I started out as an interstate truck driver.
What age?
And,
You just-
I started driving when I was about 18. No, 18.
Interstate by yourself.
So you've got about 5 or 6 years under your belt.
Yeah, just a few.
That's a big commitment for a young bloke to hop in a
Yeah.
truck and drive around Australia.
Yeah, the guy that gave me a start said to me, I'd never driven a truck, so I didn't know the front of the truck to the back of the truck. I didn't even know what a car was at that time.
Yeah.
Really?
And he said, you know where Cairns is? And I said,
Pointed
no. And he said, well, when you get to the water, turn around and come back.
Wow.
And away I went.
So you would have even, sorry Glenn, you would have even seen,
I didn't know where I was going.
but even then, like the state of the highway then,
Oh,
it
yeah.
probably hasn't changed much.
No, it has. It's changed huge.
Yeah, up going north.
Yeah.
But it's been roadworks since then the whole time, right?
Yeah, it's
This isn't-
the Bruce Highway's been something. It's had some massive changes,
Yeah.
so it's still not good, but it's
There's
it's
some
had
dark
massive-
areas,
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
isn't there? But there are some better areas.
Yeah,
definitely.
everything north of Gympie.
Well, yeah, it does get a bit ragged after that.
Well,
but-
my dad's just done the trip. He's just driven
Yeah.
to Townsville and back.
Yeah.
And he just said that I think even when he left Bundaberg, Mackay, from Mackay to Townsville, it took him 8 hours. He says because it's just, you can drive
Bit
2
of roadworks
kilometres,
there.
roadwork, 2
They're
kilometres.
doing roadworks
like,
at
but-
Guru.
yeah. But I remember I did a trip up to Port Douglas probably, 20 odd years ago, and I had the same experience. Always just all those unmanned traffic lights on the side of the road. You know,
I
they're
suppose it's a lot of highway, but eh?
Oh,
It's
look,
a long way.
2,000 k's, right?
Well, it's like going from here to Melbourne, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, so they're doing a lot,
Except
isn't
it's better country.
Yeah, you better country going north.
Oh, mate, I love it up there.
Yeah, really?
Do you get up there much?
We went to Cairns for Christmas.
Yeah, nice.
Drove up.
Couldn't go
Drive
anywhere else.
up.
I just drive up.
You like driving, don't you?
Oh, mate, driving's good. It's just,
Obviously.
we took I mean, at the end of the day, I've got 4 daughters. So it's actually cheaper for me to drive 2 cars to Cairns and back than it is to catch a plane.
Right.
Is it really?
And really, let's face it, you're on a family trip. It's the best time to be with your family when you're checking all the
Yeah.
sites out all the way
Yeah.
up. So you
Whole
take
way
your
up.
time and you cruise up. And
Yeah, I'm heading up there in about 4 weeks. So yeah, I know what you're talking about with airfares, but luckily I've got a lot of frequent flight points to
when COVID hit,
offset it. But even just you got to hire a car when you get up there though. So like sometimes I'm almost thinking you're better off driving and spending a week up there and having your own car.
yeah, well, that's what I said.
Because you drop $1,400 for 5 days car hire. You know,
By the time you do car hire, by the time you pay for airfares,
Yeah.
it costs you $200 or $300 to drive up and drive back.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you take your own car
Yeah.
Exactly.
and see the sights on the way up?
Stop when you want to
Yeah.
You
stop.
know,
Yeah.
drop into Mission Beach, drop into Airlie Beach.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Boulders, Josephine Falls, all of
Yeah.
those places along the way.
I haven't been that far up.
Really?
I've flown up there, but I've never driven that
No
far
racetracks up there, mate.
up. No. That's true. Anyway.
So your show's on Saturday mornings?
Yeah, so we do Saturday morning,
Yes.
6 till 9.
That's
Right.
good.
So it's
They've
talk-
asked us to come back next week. That's good. There's a start. But, yeah, no, some of it's talk back, some of it's pre-record. So,
Yeah,
like, we
yeah.
talk to all the mayors, so they're obviously not available at 6 o'clock, or they don't want to be available at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we try to get some of the stuff pre-recorded on Thursday and Friday. And
Ah, yeah.
Your show's
Yeah.
probably over by the time I wake up on
a
Saturday
lot of the
morning.
time it is. You know,
6 to 9, is it?
6 a.m.'s an early
6
start.
a.m. till 9, so...
So I'm guessing that's an early start for you because you're not rocking up 20 minutes before your show.
I'm always up early. I'm
Really?
always been an early riser, yeah.
Right. So what time would you start a shift for a Saturday morning show?
Oh, with River there, we're in there at... I'm in there at 5.
Right.
You know, just checking things out. But like I'm up at 4:30 every morning anyway.
Like me.
Yeah,
I'm the
so-
same, mate.
Yeah, I don't need a clock. I
Yep.
just...
Yep.
Just go.
Yeah, it's
Bang, get
I
up.
was always a bit hyper as a kid, see. So
Were you?
yeah, I think I went through the stages of don't give him red cordial, don't give him sugar, no sugar. Yeah,
ADHD.
ADHD. It would have been ADHD, but it wasn't that. back in the days when I was a kid. So
You know what? Like, I think I was a bit like you with that respect, but I think my dad belted that out of me. I didn't get medication. I just got belted. Do you know what I mean? Like that.
Well, that's a
It's
form
how
of
it
treatment,
was,
isn't
right?
it?
Well, yeah, traumatic treatment. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
So does your show have a producer? Or do you, it's just you?
no,
like
just,
you and Nicole?
me and Nicole.
How do you go for content? What do you
We try and work it out as we go.
just work it out and just
Yeah.
wait for the callers to call in?
Yeah,
and-
we do some. We sit back and it's a community. Like it's about what's going on locally in Ipswich and the surrounding regions. So we stroll through what's going on, and because we do a fair bit in the community, both of us have got contacts that we can talk to people and try and promote some of their stuff. Like, you know,
Well, you're the big time. You can get mayors. They don't even respond to our emails.
We've asked a couple of mayors.
I might
We
do
asked
that.
the mayor to come in here actually.
Yeah.
Just to have a chat generally about the community and about homelessness in the local area and stuff. And we haven't. Hopefully, we hear something back, but we haven't heard anything back yet.
But we don't usually try to get people on. Well, we don't necessarily want to talk politics too. We want to know about who's our mayor, how, what drove them to get into politics. You know, those sorts of things. It's not. You know, well, we talk about anything in here. And usually after an hour, Glenn starts going off into conspiracy theories and a few other things that have been quite funny over time.
Yeah, that's all right.
But yeah, we
Everyone
just
has opinions on life, don't they?
But it's still, I think that's the thing, is we don't get to see our politicians apart from sound grabs or bits and pieces to actually sit down like this and have a
well,
chat.
the politicians are pretty much polished these days, aren't they?
They are very polished.
You know, they work out what they say and what they don't. The natural politician isn't there because they get criticised. And
That's right.
Well, look at our Premier, she's got 20 in her media team that we know of, and apparently there's a whole other team behind that.
you know, they're so worried about getting voted out rather than doing what's right for everyone. You know?
Absolutely, mate.
That's my thought anyway. 'cause,
No, we're with you.
I agree.
We were talking about it today. Like, there's even, you know, we said, obviously, particular circumstances at the moment with COVID, but, they've just announced the rugby here. They're going to be played in Townsville and Gold Coast and a few other places. And on the interviews, they're pressed for, is Queensland contributing to that financially and how much? And it's, we don't talk about that. That's financial, or commercial in confidence. And you sit back as a punter in the community going, but hang on, you're representing us, and that's our taxpayer dollars you're spending on these things. But just
transparency is when
need-
transparency wants them to be transparent.
Yeah,
Of course.
clear
It's
as
got
mud.
nothing to do with reality. 'Cause
No.
the minute the hard questions come up, it's just bang. Oh, it's commercial in confidence. We can't talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Which,
And,
that's
which is
crazy.
all crap anyway. But
But I think they've put
I
them-
think, but like, I mean, I understand some things have to be kept private, but when it comes to money,
Yeah, but
Well, it's our money.
But well, hang
It's
on.
our
So,
money.
so here's an example, right? We've just got the Olympics that we've won, right? And rightly or wrongly, whether she went over and whatever, that's another discussion. But they said how much that's going to cost to run the games. How much the federal government's putting in, how much Queensland's putting in, right? And what they expect from, they say it's like a cost neutral games, but they say that's, revenue versus the expense of running the games, but then there's billions of others in infrastructure outside of that. So I don't quite get how it's cost neutral if you're spending more than the return.
Yeah, but it's
But I'm saying that's declared, right?
Yeah.
So if we're saying
open.
we're having an Olympic event and here's the cost, but we're going to host the NRL Grand Final, you don't need to know what that's costing you as a taxpayer.
Yeah.
We had the AFL Grand Final, you don't need to know, but what's the difference?
I agree, right?
it's our money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they run a risk too, because the Premier is putting herself in front of the camera every day. Whereas in the past, they'd control when and where the Premier would rock up, usually in a hard hat at a
Turning a side at Springfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Cross River Rail's just broken through here, great photo opportunity, those sorts of things. But putting themselves out there every day, I think's really interesting to see, because they're getting questions on a daily basis. But I mean, some of it's obviously uncomfortable because they turn around and it's just, you're being rude, I don't want to deal with you, and that's how they're deflecting at the moment.
Yeah.
But they're opening themselves up to scrutiny on a daily basis now.
That's
I don't know
right.
if it's a job for me.
No.
Well, I mean, you have staff in your business, Dave?
Yeah, well, I was actually going to run for council.
Were you?
And pulled out, so
Did you?
in
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah, right.
Amel Meninga. How long did you last? Longer than him?
I announced, and as I started getting a bit more involved into what was going on, I didn't, with Ipswich in particular, there was a lot of areas that you couldn't see what was going on, and I didn't, and especially with what Ipswich has been through.
Yep.
I didn't want to go down that road.
Yep.
I wouldn't say I ruled it out. I wouldn't have another shot at it, but
What time frame was that? Was that pre-council being sacked or post? Like just
no,
in
it's March 2020.
the... Right. Okay. So
I announced in December, I think, and pulled out about a month and a half later.
yeah. What division would you have run in?
4 would have been 4. So
Right.
where I live at Carralee and North Ipswich and Russell and
Yeah.
Rosewood. So
Yeah. Did you grow up in Ipswich, Dave? You were in
kind of,
Ipswich
yeah, I did. From when I was about 11,
Okay.
I was here.
Yep.
So I ended up here. I ended up in a fostering home. So my story is I was adopted, and my parents were. My mother was 14 when I was born,
Yep.
and my father was 16.
Yep.
And back in '71, that was just unheard of.
Yes.
You know, it was a embarrassment to the family and all the rest of it. And funnily enough, 1971 was probably the largest year of adoptions in Australian history.
Really?
Is that right?
Yeah, so I was with a pretty cool group of kids.
Yeah.
Adopted out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was adopted by a Dutch couple, and they split up when I was 5.
Right.
So I started the between one and the other, and etc., and then he remarried, and I went to live with them, and that didn't work out, and then I ended up in a home in Ipswich, and I didn't stay there for long, so I
How
ran
old
away
were you
from there.
then, Dave, when you were in the home?
11.
You were 11? Yeah, wow.
So
That's hard, man.
it is what it is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know, like I think of my kids, my daughter's 10.
Yeah. But, you know, look, at the end of the day, everyone says, oh, that was hard, but I grew up that way, so I didn't
didn't
think
know
it was any different.
Yeah.
I agree.
I don't understand. I probably look at things differently to what people do. I don't think that I had it tough. Like, there was a lot of stuff that went on that, you know, in the home, we were sexually abused, we were beat up, we were bashed.
Shit.
But then, so was kids that were living with mum and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you know,
In that era.
in that era, like, things were done differently.
It wasn't unique to the
It
environment
wasn't
you were
unique
in.
to anyone's environment. Like, everyone knew about, like you were talking about getting bashed. Or,
I wasn't bashed.
but you know what I mean, though.
I
Like,
was definitely smacked and
I
I
mean,
was hit
mate, let me
with
tell
jump
you,
cords
if
and
you're,
stuff.
if you're smacked today,
Oh,
like, that's just,
yeah.
you know. But then, look at it on the flip side.
Yeah.
We've got respect for our elders.
Agree.
We got respect for other people. Like, there's a different generation, and there's a generational gap
Absolutely.
where the generation coming through now suddenly believe that they're right and they're owed everything, and they don't have to respect anyone.
And that's our fault.
It is our fault.
It's
Well-
our generation's fault.
It is.
Yeah, generational change.
Yeah.
But, but even I remember at school,
We've sat
like
back
St.
and-
Eddie's, you probably, you know,
Yeah.
God, I used to get the cuts for not finishing my lunch in time or something. I've worked in the canteen.
Yeah.
So after serving everyone else, I'd go and grab something else. And if I'm not back in class in time, it's why aren't you in class? Bang, cuts, get to your class. And
Yeah.
you're like, Jesus Christ, I'm helping the school out here. I'm doing the
Yeah.
right thing and just trying to have something to eat. And then you're in trouble for that. But the punishment wasn't, you know, get yourself to class.
No.
It was the
It
cuts.
was a cut.
If you were in a fight, whether
Who
you
did
started the fight.
Was it Brother Kelly? Did you know Brother Kelly then?
No, that was
What year
Toomey.
did you finish?
That would have been primary school Toomey, that
To
one.
Mick Toomey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Principal. But even then, like back then, if you were in a fight, whether you started it or not, someone has a go at you, you get punched and then you get reprimanded as
Yeah.
well for the cut. You're sitting there going, hang on, someone's just punched me in the face and now I'm now getting the cuts for
Yeah,
it.
but you know, like, if you got into trouble at school, when we were going to school, you were more worried about getting home and facing your parents.
Yep, mine was my mum. Yeah.
But now what happens is the parents go down and bash the teachers.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yep.
Like,
My Johnny didn't do that.
suddenly, where did it go wrong?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
There's a real power imbalance.
Should
in
we
school.
have changed how we grew up? Probably.
Agree.
Have we gone the wrong way? Probably.
Too far the
Yeah.
wrong way. We
So
needed to be back here.
We
just
need
a
to
touch.
find, you know, like,
There needs to
and
be
I mean,
balance.
you hear about all the greenies carrying on, about plastics and all the rest of it. When I grew up, we had brown paper bags we used to take home from the and glass bottle milk. The milkman used to run round.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
suddenly, this new generation think Uber's a new thing. Uber Eats. We had the milkman doing milk Uber
Milk
back
and bread.
in 1970.
Well, you
Yeah,
remember
milk
Peter
and bread.
McMahon used to have McMahon soft drinks,
McMahon
right?
soft
Doing the
drinks.
home deliveries all
Yep.
in glass bottles.
Yep.
And now all of that's
And they
gone.
used to pick up the bottles, flush them, clean them, and then use them again.
Exactly.
I worked
And
on a
suddenly-
Bristol truck once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And suddenly recycling is the new fashion.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right?
Oh, talk to me about that. I was at the dump the other day, so you might be able to fill me in, and I'm pretty sure you can, and I'm pretty sure you can as well. But I'm going to ask this question
Right.
for the people that are listening. I went to the dump on Monday. I had a rain out where I went to the dump. I'm at the pit at Ipswich. I'm throwing all my stuff in. Right. I see a recycle truck back up and go
Into the pit.
into the pit. Are we recycling in Ipswich?
What's supposed to be? You
Why
sure
would
it
you
was a
reckon-
recycle truck?
There was a lot of glass in there, man, and a lot of cardboard, and a lot of stuff that looked recyclable. And I wasn't sure, and I looked at it, and my worker was with me, Jason, and I said, "Why do we separate our stuff?"
If they're putting it all in the same pit.
It was in the
Well, I
pit.
remember there was a time in Ipswich, I mean, not even get started on the $12 fee to go to the tip to drop something off. But they want you to do their job because they've got paint
I had to
section,
drive
battery
14
section,
different
metal
spots,
section.
right?
Exactly. I go in and you've almost got to load your trailer or your ute up now.
As you're gonna take it off.
anticipating going, right, that's going in the pit, then I've got to drive down and drop that cardboard, battery in there, oil in there,
Yep.
you know, and then sticks and whatever and a couple of bricks up around there and you do a lap.
Yep.
But yeah, so, but I do know that there was one stage there a couple of years ago when we had those issues with recycling and contamination, and
My
then
fridge.
and council
Let that break.
council had some issues around that, and I know that everything recycled was just going to landfill at that stage, but it shouldn't be the case now.
Any thoughts?
I don't know.
Not sure?
Like,
Okay.
I think the waste argument in Ipswich is he's got a long way to go.
Well, I know Wallace has just put in a bid for incinerators, and he's.
I don't think he was the incinerators, was he?
Oh, is he not the
was
incinerators?
I think Ramondis was the incinerators.
Oh, Reminders was the incinerators.
And I think Wanless wants to do a separating
my
dump
mistake.
type thing.
Right.
With I think I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not over it. I know it's one of those things where everyone's whinging about it. Yeah.
Well, your co-host is on the council, so
Ask her on Saturday morning for
I
us.
stay away from it.
you've got to work with her.
No, to be perfectly honest, like I do my bit at home.
Yeah.
And we try to fill up one bin. When we were kids, same amount of people living in a house, and we had a 50-litre steel bin.
Yeah, I know.
That was empty.
Yeah.
And we would burn our own rubbish, compost our own food scraps,
Yep.
and we had bugger all plastic and stuff like that. So
And the garbage used to ride around on the back of the truck and have to manually empty it.
yeah,
I got a sticker on my bin a while back.
Saying it was too heavy.
No, saying, can you please move your vehicle further up the road because our truck has to reverse around in your cul-de-sac.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there going, so I sit there and watch, I've got video cameras as well. I got ridiculed when I posted a clip of this. They're going, this council's telling me to move my car, and I moved it, and then you watch the truck, and it does the same manoeuvre anyway. It comes down the cul-de-sac, because I'm on the right-hand side. So it comes down the left and picks up bins, and as it gets around to me, it's too tight. So instead of coming around, what he does is actually just come back across and drives into my driveway and picks the bin up sideways, instead of from the curb, right? And I've gone, okay, so I get that. So what they're saying is that they need to come around a bit further where my car's parked up past my driveway. They want a bit more room to pick that way. So I even started parking for 3 months on my own, on my driveway and my land. The truck does the same thing, drives up in my driveway, picks it up sideways, because all he does is do a full lock. When he's on a full lock, he's pointing at my driveway, then reverses down. But someone got out and put a sticker saying, can you please move your vehicle further up the road so we can, manoeuvre? And I'm sitting there going, the old days, these guys used to have to get out, and it's too hard for them to pick reverse gear to come back and have to drive around my car, which is actually about 8 metres forward of my bin. I was just sitting there going, wow, how things have
Send him
changed.
down to Dave's driving school, get him sorted out.
Maybe that's, because right, you don't have to be a mathematician, but the cab and then the bin gets picked up pretty much behind the cab.
Yeah.
I put my bin down on the double driveway, on the lower side of my driveway, and I park further up the road. I said there's a good 8 metres or so between the bin and my car, and they're putting stickers on my car.
It's crazy, isn't
I
it?
don't know how they do it around here, because everyone who's parked everywhere, I don't know how they even get at the bins.
Sorry, can we go back?
Yeah, sorry, rant over.
We've gone on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah.
So you're 11. Can
Yeah.
we go back to that?
yeah,
Is that all right?
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so
Yeah. So 11. You're in
ended up-
Ipswich.
yeah,
in a foster
ended up
home.
in a home
Yep.
on Warwick Road,
Yep.
and basically just was there for a few years.
Yep.
I'd run away a couple of times from the home, but ended up back there until I was 17. once you turned 17, they booted you out. So it was
You're on your own.
So then you're
on your
homeless?
own again. Yeah.
So you're
Yeah,
homeless
bouncing
at
around.
17? Or
Yeah.
couch surfing or doing
Couch
whatever you
surfing,
need to
bit
do?
of that, bit of this, living in a car, living under the town bridge, and
And about that time then when that truck driving opportunity presented?
Yeah.
Around then?
yeah, so
17, yeah, wow.
something along those lines, and we just bummed around and
And then
do what you do.
the rest is history.
And
like
then
you've
here's the
driven your
keys,
way
go to
forward.
Cairns.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the start of that sort of thing. Well, it was somewhere to stay.
How was he
In the
getting
truck.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you get a wage too,
Yeah.
right? So you got
Yeah,
no
that was
responsibility. You don't have a
pretty cool.
girlfriend at that stage.
Nah.
You were just.
So it was pretty cool. Just
So you're talking semis, you were driving?
Yeah.
So how did you go for, what was the licence requirement back then? A bit different to today?
Well, yeah, it was a bit different. But I didn't have one then. But
Really? So when you got that truck and drove to Cairns, it's like literally, here's the keys, work it out.
yeah, where you go.
You were in our biggest driving school in Ipswich.
Yeah, yeah. In just about Queensland.
That's great. Oh, that's awesome. Good on you.
So I'd be correct in saying then, because I know Queensland, I wanted to talk about this tonight. So Queensland's got no mandatory retesting, right?
No.
So you've basically taught yourself to drive in a truck. You've had a licence since then. You've never been retested.
Oh, you would have to get
License.
tested to get your license.
I
by
did.
right?
I got tested
Yeah.
to get my license. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did it in Ipswich.
Oh, so did you drive unlicensed that first trip?
Yeah,
First
year.
couple of trips by the sounds of it, mate.
Oh, so I must have thought you must have had a like.
No, I didn't have a car license.
You didn't have
Did
a
you,
car
did you,
license?
did your owner of the truck know this?
Yeah, yeah.
He was cool. Just
Oh,
go.
you needed someone to go to Cairns.
And you know what? But back in what year was that, Dave?
88.
No one.
80,
there-
yeah.
Everyone was focused on Expo. No one was caring about Dave in
you
a truck
couldn't
going
do that,
north.
right?
Yeah. Look, different time. You know, what we used to do in cars, even. You
Yeah.
do it now and you're gone.
Yeah.
And you know, like I was talking to someone the other day and they said, "Oh, my young bloke, and he's done this and he's done that," and I said, "What did you do? What did I do?" You know.
Yep.
One of the things that I say to the kids when we're talking about these things, I say, "I've got stories, so I've got to find a mate that knows me from then and go, do you remember when we did this?" And the kids are looking at me and they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you're filming it. You're all on camera. Cameras are everywhere."
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
back in those days, it was different.
You got away with even a lot of things. Got away with like footballers
I
could go
did-
out and
I
go
don't,
like
know
this.
I don't know how much I did without my license, and then
Yeah.
I ended up getting a license. And
That's And then,
Yeah.
so how many years did you drive trucks for before you started teaching people? Was that transition?
well, I'd been in car carriers for a long time, so I started pro drive in 2003. So I was a rat bag until I was about probably 26, 27. You know, losing my license, driving too fast, being a fool,
Yep.
getting in trouble with the law, all sorts of
We
weird.
well, they say your ability to judge risk is only really developed in your mid-20s anyway.
Yeah,
right?
so yeah, well, you know, and I can blame the homes and blame the upbringing, but like at the end of the day, it was me.
You made those decisions.
Mate, you know what's right and wrong from the time you're 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. agreed.
Irrelevant of where you live,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? I don't care what anyone says, you know what's right and wrong.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
so anyway, I did some stupid shit, everyone does.
Yep.
And got into a bit of trouble and did some things that I probably shouldn't have done. Ended up in jail for a little bit.
Yep.
And basically, I met my wife when I think we were, must have been 89, must have been 90. I met her, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been with her for a long time. She stuck with me, and I think that's like I was still a cockhead. Let me tell you. But
Love it.
it took me a few years to get myself sorted, and
Yeah.
I
Probably
think,
with a bit of her guidance.
yeah, she's a
Yeah,
she's a great person, right?
Yeah.
She's a great person.
Yeah.
She-
Yeah.
Like, couldn't ask for a better partner,
Awesome.
better friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we probably were really good friends and as
Yeah.
well. So,
That's great.
but I never really changed until my first daughter was coming, and she was born in 2001. So it was probably 99 when we really started. I really started thinking about life and kids and
Yep.
all of that sort of thing.
How am I going to support this?
Yeah,
and
what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And all of that. So I ended up buying a house in, I think it must have been like 96 or 97 or something.
Yep.
And I paid $56,000 for it.
Wow. What suburb?
At Goodna.
Oh, Goodna. I'm a
Goodna.
Goodna boy.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
Yep.
So Goodna, I bought my first house in Goodna.
Nice. That's
Allen,
awesome.
Allen Street, top of the hill.
Yep.
And there's a 5 acre block over the top of it. It's still vacant today, right? And
5 acres.
5
Surprised
acres
it doesn't have
in
30
the middle of
houses.
Goodna. Yeah, it's got for sale sign on it. I don't know what he wants for it, but Mrs. Thomas lived there and she died, and her family was selling the house. And I remember saying to him, "I'm going to give you 80 grand for it." And Bob, the son, said, "No, we want 82."
And you left it.
And I left.
Are you serious? 5 acres.
It's funny.
That's just not. There's nothing there.
I built in Springfield, so I'm in the old part of Springfield over the highway. I paid
Let's go.
it was 169,000 house and land in '99.
Yeah.
Right, it's worth 600,000 now, but
Yeah.
same sort of story.
You'd be millions now.
Yeah.
What, right, for 5 acres.
But across the road, there was a house across the road went on the market for 180, and I'm going. I said to my wife, I'm going, no, we paid 179, and that thing's only like a 4-bedder, smaller block, whatever. 185. They're kidding, and we went and then invested elsewhere. Same thing though, even though it's probably still less, it'd be worth over 500.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no
just
chance.
sitting there
on.
going,
I remember
damn.
arguing with that. Then I ended up buying a couple of
The
houses.
2 grand,
Yeah,
so
I did.
good.
Ended up buying a house on Henty Drive.
Oh, at Redbank Lanes.
Yeah, so I bought a couple down there and
Yeah,
paid
that's-
like 79 and 83 for them or something.
Wow. Do you still have those, Dad?
No, I haven't got any of them
Yeah.
now. I sold them all off.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Sold everything off and went and bought a house at Carolee.
Ah, very
Imagine
nice.
if you had a crystal ball though, you could go back.
Mate, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Because of some people, because it was always that state, there was booms and property was going up, and I think in the last 10 years, at the moment, there's a bit of
I've got a
fluctuation.
COVID tax.
Well, I sold everything in 2002.
Oh, that's all right. Still, you
So
would have been after the
that was
boom.
the beginning of the boom.
That's right, yeah.
Right, the beginning of the boom, because I paid nothing for the house at Carolee.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I sold all of those
Yep.
and made enough money out of them to
To
buy Carolee.
get your Carolee house, yeah.
It's just good that you had the foresight to invest and do that.
was
and
no
you got the
foresight.
return. No, it was just
It was just sheer dumbass luck.
So you just decided I'm just going to buy houses. Surely that was.
If I had extra cash
Yeah.
and I thought,
Yeah.
I'm going to buy houses.
So it wasn't an investment
Right.
strategy to say, listen, I
No.
need to do this and set up for
No,
retirement.
I had a bit of extra money and I thought, I need to start doing something.
I've got
Right.
a daughter coming.
I need to start doing something.
Yeah, right.
And that's basically how it all went about. I
That's
had extra money and I needed to do something.
There you go.
And
And
I
you
think-
decided
I think-
to do nothing though.
well,
when
I
you,
think coming
when you've been in
from-
a different position.
I think, like you hear a lot of stories and there's some great stories about people that have been in the same situation as me, becoming multi-millionaires and all the rest of it. And that's a pretty common thing. And I think when you go through that, you kind of get to a stage where you think, okay, I've had nothing. I want to have some things.
Yes.
And you sort of strive a bit harder than
Yep.
probably anyone else because you know what it's like to not have anything. And then the other side of that is, and I always say, what's the worst thing that can happen?
You go back to where you were and
So
that's where you start
if
again.
I have to rent a house and drive an old car, like, I mean, let's face it, you probably can't afford an old car these days, but not the cars we were driving.
No.
But like,
My,
yeah,
70,
if you
my
got a-
74 Tirana, if I held on to that, gee, that'd be worth a bit today.
Yeah.
a 74 Tirana.
Yeah,
well,
was it-
you've just dropped about 3 levels in my book.
Oh, really?
There's a
You
Ford
afford
there.
me.
Oh,
Done.
So,
Yeah, but
Well,
you're
you know
right,
Terry Russell,
you're
yeah,
right.
so you're
no. Yeah, Terry's right. Yeah. But you're right, when you're self-made, it doesn't matter if you go backwards. Do you know what I mean? You're
say to
driven by
everyone,
failure. I know
well,
I am. I don't want
part
to
of the
fail.
reason I sold my houses in Henty Drive was because I was working for a company called Coastline Vehicle Transport. I had a couple of B doubles working out of there.
Oh, is that at Darra?
Darra.
Do you know Mel Bull?
Yeah, Mel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, he
there you go.
died. I know his
Yes.
boys.
So I was dating his daughter for a very
Tim
long time.
and-
Back. Tim,
and-
Andy,
You were dating
Kippy,
Tim?
or
Skip.
Kippy.
Kippy, Kippy.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was dating Steph
Yeah.
back in the day.
He was
his
the man
daughter.
that made that place.
I know.
And it was when he died that Mal Woodward, who owned
Yes.
it, took over,
Yes.
and it went bust.
Went bust. Did it?
So yeah,
there
it
you
did.
go. I
And
didn't know
Mal
that.
ended up owing me 150 grand.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that
Still
was.
does?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not friends?
Aye.
That's business, but Jace.
Oh, I know.
It's a-
That's,
it's
So I
a
that's,
had
fine-
a couple of trucks there. So
150K
that was
those,
2006.
that's a lot of money.
That's a lot
And
of
I'd lost
money.
lost a heap of money there, and that's why I sold all the houses.
Right.
Wow.
And got out of it all.
So how did you start ProDrive then? Like, was it the house sales that
So
gave
that
you
was
some
2000.
No. So,
Because
so
they're buying trucks
another
and
story.
cars up,
Here it was. So I bought my first truck in about, would have been 2000.
Right.
Yep.
No, Chloe was just born, because this was the stupidest thing that anyone has ever done in their life, of course. I have a brand new baby, and I think, I'm going to leave the job that I'm getting paid, and I'm going to start my own business.
Yeah, right.
What could go wrong?
I'd bought a house, I'd had a car on loan, and I'd done all the things, and a new baby, and wife not working.
Yep.
And I thought, I'm going to have a crack at this.
Yep.
And so I did. So I bought my first truck. Started the Ipswich car carrier. So I bought Ipswich car carriers. So I was doing local car carrier.
Right. So you weren't doing it for education. You were doing it for
A job.
haulage.
Yeah. So I had Ipswich car carriers, and I was doing all the car yards. I was doing like Llewellyn's and all the Ipswich car yards.
Blue ribbons
and blue ribbons.
Yeah.
And I had actually back then there was 30 car yards in Ipswich.
There used to be a few. Yeah.
30 car yards in
Wow.
Ipswich. Today there's 5.
Yes.
Incredible.
So yeah, so anyway, I was doing all the local work, and I had trucks running the highway. I started with Mal doing some, so I had 2 B doubles in there, and I was doing my own stuff with Ipswich car carriers.
Yep.
So life's going on, we're making money, things are going well, sold everything there, ended up moving to Carolee, and things were getting better. The kids are growing up.
Yep.
2008. I've got 4 girls, so this Jamie was born in
Here's a challenge.
6,
Yeah.
Abby 7, and Brooke in 8, 2008.
Wow, so you got 3 younger.
So we got them all there.
Yeah.
2000 and must have been 7, $150,000 in the hole. So that created a problem. But I also had the driving school. 2003, a mate of mine. It actually went, like I put a guy through Mark Mander's driver training in Ipswich.
Yep.
And I wanted him to drive one of my trucks. And Mark said, do you want to buy a driving school? And I said, what, that? I said, no way, man. There's no way in the world I'm sitting in there teaching people to drive. That's insane. And anyway, I told another mate of mine, Kurt, and Kurt said, mate, I'm keen on that. So at the time, Kurt had just gone through a relationship drama, and he moved from the north side back down to here. He said, mate, I'd love it. So he tried to get the finance, and with everything that was going on in his life, he couldn't.
Yep.
So I said, I'll buy it and we'll work it out, work it out. Go from there. And after about 3 months, it just wasn't working. Couldn't make money out of the driving school, So that was in 2003, 4. So I took it all back, and I just paid him a wage, and he was building it and then working towards building the business and doing more. So I just took the basic operational stuff back and did that. So that was all being run under Ipswich car carriers.
Yep. As a sidearm to that business.
As a sidearm to that, with the highway trucks and all the rest of it. Things were getting busier and busier and starting to juggle.
Yeah.
And anyway, the driving school was ticking along, and yeah, so it was moving along okay. Mel owed us a heap of money, created us a problem, big problem.
Yeah, right.
Trying to pay guys. I had
That's a cash
two
flow
of my
issue.
guys, Michael Bates and Chris O'Neill, fantastic. Both highway guys, been with me for a while. Both said, Dave, we'll give you 2 months free, no wages,
Wow.
for looking after us.
That's awesome. But that's a credit to you as well, right?
And I paid them back.
Yes.
I paid them back.
That
So
is great.
They said, you've looked after us, so we'll look after you.
That is
So
awesome.
my 2 guys, still very good friends, and I owe them so much. But like, if you do the right thing by people, people will do the right thing by you.
100%.
And that's the way I've always looked at my life. You do the right thing by people, people will always do the right thing by you.
Totally agree, man.
And
Yep.
that was a blessing that they did that, and we managed to keep operating. Kurt looked after the driving school, and
You got
and
through
that
it.
sort of got through it. And
Yep.
So then
It's
you
hard work.
transitioned out of the car carrying and then just into like exclusively driving school now?
now it is,
Yeah.
So in 2017, I sold the car carriers.
Yeah, right.
So I had them right up till then,
Yep.
and sold the car carriers and focused on the school.
On the school, which is now growing,
Which
obviously.
is, we got 38 driving school cars and 9 trucks.
Wow.
How many on the road at one time? I
38.
was just wondering how many are getting repaired.
Actually, look,
Occasional.
I've
big
had
one
probably the
things.
biggest crash.
Oh really? You drive it?
Yeah, with a learner driver in the car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've had the biggest crash, but I can probably say currently today we do this over the last sort of 12 months we've been doing. COVID's really messed everything up because we closed during COVID, but we're doing on an average about 500 hours, 470 to 500 hours of car driving lessons a week.
Wow.
Doing about 35 driving tests, 35 car tests at Ipswich Transport
A week.
Every week.
Wow.
And the trucks are doing probably 15 to 20 truck tests each week, and probably churning out about maybe 60, 70 hours of truck driver training each week.
That's amazing. Those numbers, aren't they? Like my daughter's going. She's on her L's now.
Yep.
She's bought herself a car, so she started. We taught her in a manual. My wife's car and my 4-wheel drive, and then she's picked up an auto. She's going to go for a manual license. But thanks, mate. So yeah, she's going through all of that at the moment. I think she's just hit about 50 hours.
Yeah.
So then she's got to start looking at testing and
What's going on?
and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's crazy, eh? It's insane. And with the new legislations that are in through government, that's great for your business because what do the kids have to do now? 100 hours?
They only got to do 100.
100.
But they don't have. Do they have to do anything
They don't have to do
compulsory?
anything with a driving school, no.
No, so it's not necessarily beneficial. It's not like doing 100 hours.
Actually, since they brought that 100 hours in, it's actually slowed the driving schools down.
Really?
Yeah. Before, we used to have our learners for 6 weeks,
yeah.
and kids would do an intense driver training thing for those 6 weeks and get their license.
Yeah.
And I still believe whoever changed that law and made that 100 hours has made a mistake doing that.
You do really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, can I say though, because that's one thing that I wanted to discuss. We use like it's unscripted show, but knowing you have a driving school, questions come to mind like driving standards, right? So my thinking is that like,
let me get another beer before I get behind the wheel.
oh yeah, we do these interviews, but we also do these little things called Shed Talk, which is a little 15-minute segment on 3 topics. And we did one recently about like policing.
Yep.
Just it's all cameras now, like mobile phone, seat belts, speed cameras. But like, I see driver standards, and I don't know, and maybe you can shed some light, but if a student is spending 100 hours with their parent, and that parent is clueless, that's 100 hours of bad training for that kid, right?
Yeah.
That's the way I see 100 hours.
So basically what's happened is the government, and I don't know which government it was, but they deregulated the driver training industry.
Right.
Wow.
To a point.
To a point, yeah.
We still got to pay our annual fees to become a driver
Everyone's
trainer.
got to pay fees, right?
You got to pay that. So does that, like I've had the arguments with transport, and they said, well, you're not a regulated industry. And I said, as long as you're taking money off us and telling the public that we're the right people to do this job, we're a regulated industry.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? So anyway, they take their cut, but they took all the onus off them. You used to have to do a test with Queensland Transport.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, when I did my licence, I had to do a test, 3-hour test at Queensland Transport to see whether or not I'd pass
Yep.
to become a driving instructor.
Yep.
And that's what I did. Right?
Yep.
Today, you can go to an RTO and they can sign you off and you can go and do a driving lesson wherever you want.
Is that
ABC driving school done like that, just registered.
Yep.
Yeah. But hasn't things like that changed? Like I've got recently went through the marine and jet ski license program, but I know like Q Ride for motorbikes. I've heard stories of people who go to the motorcycle dealership who's also an accredited rider trainer.
Yeah.
The person, well, guess what? They're competent, and then they ride the bike out the front door and crash the thing across the street because they have no capability.
Sign
You
up
go,
a licence and away you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
But surely
They've changed that a bit.
If government's
So
deregulating and pushing
yeah,
things like that out to
they
industry,
are starting to work on it a little bit
are they
now.
pulling it back?
Which
or?
is, but they haven't done anything about the driving instructors.
Right. But the driving test itself is still done by an examiner?
It's still done by Transport. Anything from HC down is done by Queensland Transport.
Yep.
HR to MC, I can do.
Ah.
So I can actually sign them off.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I think I got a truck license in the 90s.
Jesus.
What do you mean? No, it's MR. I've got an MR.
So yeah, but that's it. But anything below that's done by transport.
Done by transport.
But up till a few years ago, the driving standards have decreased.
Yeah.
I sit back and my biggest question is, how do we have the same road toll
Yep.
with better roads, safer cars?
Safer cars. That's right.
Increased population too.
Now,
right?
increased population is one of those things.
Yes.
But like they say, oh, it's increased population, but that's a redundant question. Right? Really, when you look at that,
If you looked at the
why
numbers
does more
increasing-
cars on the road create a problem when we've got safer cars and better roads?
Are the roads better though?
Yeah, well, I
God, just some of-
openly tell you they are.
Some,
Yeah,
well,
they
I was
are.
going to say some of them.
I
Depends
look at
which
the
one.
Ipswich motorway now compared
I've
to what
driven
it was
the
20 years
highway.
ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The Bruce Highway is better.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
the reality is we've got cars now that are staying in their white lines. We've
That's
got
right.
cars that are parking themselves. We've got
Yeah.
cars that are
Cars that do the shoulder check and don't let you turn.
beeping and
yeah.
carrying on and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We've got safer cars.
Yeah.
We've got cars that are braking automatically. We've got, all of that stuff going on. Better roads, signs everywhere. We've never had a sign anywhere.
fatigue, though.
Yeah.
But do you
Right.
think
That's another
every
thing I
time
wanna
I
ask you.
see like a news story on fatalities, right? Most of them seem to be like, reckless guy doing something, killed himself and his mates by excessive speed, doing something, or unfortunately a family's crossed on the wrong side and everyone died, right? Are those numbers that we're seeing each year mostly attributed to that sort of behaviour and not? Because I mean, we drive down, you drive to work every day, you drive around, there's thousands upon millions of trips made daily. So is the death toll that we're seeing, like, you look at it statistically, is it really quite safe on the road, and the deaths that we're seeing are through reckless behaviour?
Maybe.
No?
No, it's all distraction.
Right.
So
Distraction, speed.
So
alcohol.
phones. I drive around. I'm a tradie. Right?
Drug driving, drink driving,
Yeah.
speed and distraction.
I see young girls on their phone like this. I tooted a guy today at a set of lights because it went green.
He's down on his phone.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
see it
right.
in the mirror. I had the same thing coming out of the
Totally
city.
get that.
Milton Drive.
So-
on the road.
We talk about distractions on the road.
Yep.
Why is there so much advertising down the highways?
Yep.
Is that a distraction?
Yeah, of course it is.
Because you're like this. Oh, they're having a sale at.
Yeah.
But there's a fee to have that there to the governments.
Commercial, yeah. But the other thing
Is
that
it
I
right,
find is
but-
strange is,
you
you know the area, Springfield? We got Woodcrest College.
Yep.
When you come from past what used to be the salt and battered chips on the road, you head into that roundabout, they've got one of those massive illuminated screens. Now, it depends on when you come through, right? But some of their screen is black with just small writing like Fate this weekend, right? Then the next thing, it goes into a full white screen, which is like a card for a business. But you're literally driving into a roundabout where it's all dark, and then next thing, you're
Bang.
totally overexposed, and you literally lose visibility of that roundabout. You're sitting there going,
Yeah, I don't
how
agree
can that
with
even be
advertising
safe?
to a certain on the
Yeah.
side of highways or the side of roads because it's ridiculous. I've had an accident reading a sign that I know firsthand. That's
I mean, the whole
honest.
driving
Slow reader?
standard has got a,
Dyslexic,
Billboard had
mate.
2 words.
No, I was going to the Brisbane markets and I look up and I'm looking at this Komatsu bloody. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, dude. And I look,
Yeah.
car stopped.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's an honest mistake.
The whole driving standards have all slipped.
Yeah.
But we see, I mean,
And
like,
that's what's happened.
That's what's happened.
They've deregulated the industry to a point. Driving instructors aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
Our guys are not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. In the training
the
regime
training-
side of it.
training
So
side
there's
of
people
things.
taking
Mate,
shortcuts.
let me tell you, I did a guy come to us who got his car instructor's license. This is a true story. Got his car instructor's license 2 weeks before. Right? So he'd been a car instructor. He'd come to me for a job. Wanted to work at ProDrive.
Yep.
And then he said, I want to do my truck license too. And I said, no problems. Well, let's see how you go with your truck license and then we'll talk about it. And I had one of my other guys that had been with me for a long time take him for a drive, and he come back after 10 minutes and he said, this guy can't drive.
Wow.
And I said, what? He said, mate, 3 critical driving errors he did in 5 minutes.
Wow. But he'd been signed off by someone.
Signed off by someone.
Yeah.
So wait for this. You're not going to believe this. So he does his truck test. We can get anyone a truck license in an automatic truck in around about 5 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours.
Okay.
And the test. Our pass rate.
I didn't even
for
know
that-
there was automatic trucks though.
Yeah, so you can do an automatic truck.
Right,
So
okay.
automatic truck. So we can get him through in about 4 or 5 hours. Our test pass rate for that is around about 96, 97%.
Wow.
So we do have a few fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy failed after 9 hours in the truck.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Now that wasn't the worst part of it. I'd found out, talking to some of the other driving schools, that he'd failed 2 truck tests prior
Wow.
Oh.
to coming to us.
Yeah.
So he's been given an instructor's license, a car instructor's license, failed 2 truck tests, and then failed a third with us.
Wow.
And then he got out of the truck when he got back to the Turley Street, and he said to me, he said, "So you're not going to give me a job, are you?" And I said, "No, mate."
He knew the answer.
And he said to me, "All right, well, I've got to go. Thanks for that. I've got a lesson to do at Goodna."
Oh. And is he? That's insane.
Now, let me tell you, he is still operating today.
Yeah.
At a cheaper rate than you?
Yep.
Yeah, that's horseshit. I hate that.
Yeah.
But see, is that where you feel like the government regulation is? Because this is the hard thing, and we talk about politics off camera a lot. But do you think like the government talks about road safety, they talk about this, but it's all talk.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been in a situation like that.
The reality is we've become a world now where we're expecting everyone else to fix us.
Of course. Yep.
Like, I mean, I think the government should do a little bit more. But is it really their responsibility to make sure that that guy's doing the right thing when it's someone else?
But let's take a driving test,
isn't
right?
it? You know, like it's...
If we took a driving test, so and I've unsubscribed. I used to follow the Department of Transport's or Street Smart Facebook page or whatever it was, Instagram, ABC, and I've just unsubscribed from all that stuff because they continually put up all these road rule questions, like the old coming to the end, you've got a dotted line, who gets right away, and they show the car here, and everyone goes, "Oh, the car in front."
The bigger car wins.
Exactly. But you're crossing the dotted line, and then people go, "Yeah, but it should be this." And we go, "We get that."
It's not.
But the thing is when you read through those comments, like at a roundabout, when you're as you give way sign, when you're at a merge, when you're at this, all these scenarios, the majority of the answers are wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's what's on the road with us.
Exactly. But how do we not have? And let's say the scenario we had before, like you might have got your license 40 years ago and never been tested again, right? If there are legislative changes or road rule changes over time, or people from New South Wales where you can turn right across a double line into a driveway but you can't hear, those sorts of things. If people have migrated, there's no regular testing, even if it's a theory testing, just to go, do you understand that in this scenario, you can't do a U-turn at a set of lights in Queensland unless it says you can. You can't cross a double line to do this. The merging scenario is this. If these people don't even know the fundamentals, that's putting everyone.
I think that should be. I think that should be doing a test every time you renew your license, every 2 years, 3 years.
Yep.
Do a 10-question thing online. If you pass it, you can upgrade your license.
Yeah. Okay.
I learned something really interesting going back a little while, doing a lesson with a foreign lady.
Yeah.
So she'd come from a Middle Eastern country.
So you're still in the cars?
Occasionally.
Yeah,
I still do the odd car and I still do the odd truck. I did a truck test today.
Likes living on the edge, getting the adrenaline going.
Sorry to throw that out.
I did this, and this is what we don't understand, right? So I don't know how to get it across to people, but I'm doing with this Middle Eastern lady. I can't remember exactly what country she was from, Iran or something like that anyway. And we've come up to near Boy's Grammar.
Yep.
And the lights are there, and I said, we'll turn right. So with green light, there's cars coming over the hill. And she's gone to keep going.
Oh.
And I've had to yank on the handbrake, and I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You've got to stop, there's cars coming."
Yeah.
And she said, in her country, a green light for them means a whole lot of them go.
So it's not green light when you're right to go, I can turn. So she just seen green light and turned.
So she saw green light thinking that
wow.
from
I've got right away.
In her country, the cars coming the other way have got a red.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've gone, hello. So I've had to put out a memo to all of our guys going, be careful and find out where they're from because this is their road rules in their country. And she was on an international licence. So at that stage...
She'd been turning right potentially head on to everything.
And she didn't have to have any state licence. So she didn't have to do any lessons, any questions or anything before she was driving here because she was on international licence.
Wow. That's
not
scary,
a,
isn't
that's
it?
not a state government issue.
No, yeah,
You know, that's
yeah,
not a local council issue. That's just an international law.
But it's funny because
That's
I started driving in Victoria, right, when I did a stint down at Sale, and back then the give way law was when if a car trying to explain maybe
Weird
you're
down there.
yeah I know right? turns yeah no you get it
Trams running down the middle of everywhere.
if I was driving down a road and wanted to turn left into a side street and the car coming the other way wanted to go into that side street, you'd had to stop and give way to let them turn.
Yeah.
That was the law, right? Which is obviously the thinking behind it was if they can't turn, they'll be holding up traffic. So you let them cross. But then that law changed, right? But I'm just wondering how many people, going like you probably hear the whole concept of everyone still thinks it's you give way to your right. Like roundabouts frustrate me. You come off at the lake here, the car in front of you sitting there, they see a car 80 metres or just coming under the bridge they'll go, oh, I've got to sit because I've got to give way to them. Yeah. Okay, they're not even anywhere near the roundabout. No. The fact that they're coming in at 120 means, if you go, you're likely going to get hit.
Yeah, but if you're first on the roundabout, you got right away.
That's exactly
correct.
Right.
That's the point. But
at the beginning of every roundabout has the dotted give way lines.
And a give way sign.
Yep.
Yeah, but the thing is, people, you probably see it every day. They get to a roundabout, they see a car coming, and then they stop and they go, this car's 30 metres away, he's not even entered. But he doesn't slow down either. Like on Springfield Parkway, you'll see it. They'll come along Springfield Parkway.
They think because they're on the main road.
Exactly. I can go through this roundabout at 60.
Because we're normally trying to clip the apex on the way through.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like they're doing 70, you're sitting in the side street trying to turn.
But it's self-preservation too, because you don't want to pull out because you're going to get hit in the driver's door.
Totally. But what happens then is that creates all of these issues we see of an afternoon on the Centenary Highway. Because when everyone goes off the exit at Orion, and then they want to go, they see cars coming along Springfield Parkway and they just sit there, which backs the traffic up. Yeah. So it actually makes the whole mechanism of a roundabout flawed.
Yeah.
And let's not even talk about indicating on a roundabout.
It's just no.
But I think so, but
there's so many issues that you can bring up with road rules and what happens out on the road. And it boils down to people not doing the right thing and not learning what they should be learning.
Yeah, but should that not be picked up in the test though? You're not
probably a test goes for half an hour.
Yeah.
Right, but would they not design the course of that to put them through scenarios?
They do have to go through certain areas.
Right.
Like so, they've got a criteria they must meet.
Right.
But whether or not they hit those criteria in different areas, and do you know, a lot of the time when we put people in the truck, they don't fail for being able to drive the truck, they fail for road rules.
Yeah.
So they might cut someone off at a roundabout, or they might do something, or it's not got nothing to do with the truck.
Yeah.
So
or they've driven it. It's just those simple little rules.
Every single one that failed, and I think I can't remember exactly. I think we did something like about 500 truck licenses there one year, and out of those truck licenses, we had about 30 fail, and every single one of those 30 that failed was a road rule that they would have got booked for in a car by the police and lost points.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with the truck.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sad.
It is.
Because these guys have been driving for a period, guys and girls, have been driving for a period of time already.
Yeah.
So their bad habits
have just
carried
that's
through. The thing. I got my license.
Would you believe we had a guy answer the phone during a truck test?
Oh,
are you serious? Wow.
That's insane.
True story. Answered his phone during a truck test.
They're out
Just
there,
picked it up and started having a conversation with the examiner on that side.
Dang. Wow.
You're done.
Game over.
Stop the truck. Get out.
Mate, I had one guy come back from a truck test and he said to me, come back early. So I knew something was wrong.
Hey, you just completed it in
what did
record
you do?
time.
He said, I went through a stop sign.
Oh.
But there was nothing coming.
Yeah.
How long?
So we'll wrap it up there. Thanks very much for coming in, Dave. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us, Dave. It was a real pleasure to have you in the studio.
Good to be here.
What do the guys need to do now?
Like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
Absolutely.
Perfect. See you next time.
See ya.